Greetings, growers of the world. Jordan River here, back with more Crowcast, the cast for crows. Michael Box is back. This is the Blue Mat Sustainable Village guy. It's a good episode. You guys remember him? It's been months. I think I said it's been a year in the episode. It hasn't been a year. But it's been a long time. And Michael's great. He works with Sustainable Village. He works on sustainability. He works on irrigation, and he's also the Blue Mat representative. So lots of Blue Mat talk, and Code Growcast is live for the Blue Mats, everybody. Code Growcast is live, and that's a limited time. Limited time, baby. It's through November, so you've got 6 weeks or so of Code Growcast saving you 10% on the Blue Mat watering system. These are limited time deals that Sustainable Village does with us. You can find it at sustainablevillage.com. Go and listen to the old Michael Box episode if you want to learn more about the system itself. It's a very handy home grow watering system, and Code Growcast is live. So I just thought I'd throw that in here in the beginning. Before we jump in, of course, let me tell you about our proud partners. You know them, you love them, AC Infinity. They're your one-stop shop for growing, acinfinity.com. And Code Growcast15 saves you 15% on tents, now lights, fans, the only fans I'll use, scissors, ratchet hangers, fabric pots, and more. They are truly the one-stop grow shop for high-quality grow gear. Code GROWCAST15, and always send us a snapshot of your codes, however you can get them to us. Contact at growcastpodcast.com, for instance. And you're entering a free seat. AC Infinity, proud partners, love these guys. Go and check them out, and always use code GROWCAST15. I appreciate you, folks. All right, let's get into it with Michael. Thank you for listening, and enjoy the show. Hello, podcast listeners. You are now listening to Growcast. I'm your host, Jordan River, and I want to thank you for tuning in again today. Before we get started, I must open the show by urging you. Share the show. Tell a grower, tell a smoker about Growcast Spread, the good news, the good Growcast news. Make sure you're subscribed so you catch every single episode of our show. You don't want to miss it, everybody. And, of course, be sure to get on the green list. It's totally free. Giving away coffee and other beans and all sorts of things. Plus garden updates, pictures, travel updates, and so much more. growcastpodcast.com/list. Get on it. It's free. It's the green list. Today we have a return guest, second-time guest, much requested, I must say, from Sustainable Village. You remember him from the Blue Mat episode, Blue Mat and more, from a couple months past. We have Michael from Sustainable Village back on the show. What's up, Michael? How you doing today?
Doing great, Jordan. Glad to be here. Thanks, man.
Yeah, man. I think you joined us last summer. It was a hit episode. I know you had a super busy harvest season and beyond. Here we are. I think it's a year later. Does time really fly that fast, man? Was it a year ago?
I was just looking at. I wanted to check my notes, and it was back in January, actually, that I was here.
Oh, okay.
Last talking to you.
I thought it was summer. There you go. So not that long ago, but still pretty damn long.
Not that long ago, but boy, man, it feels like a long time ago. It's been a busy year. We've had a lot of things going on here at the company, and just in all my personal projects as well. So, yeah, it feels like a long time.
Oh man, let's dive right into it. Sustainable Village, of course, sustainablevillage.com. Go back and listen to the old episode with Michael. If you haven't heard that episode, pause this episode, go into your feed, search Michael. From Sustainable Village, listen to the old one, and then come back. You won't regret it. I want to make sure that everybody picks up everything that we talked about last time. But you've been involved in so much since then. Can you talk to us about the projects that you've undertaken in the past, months here? And then also your Sustainable Cities project I need to talk about with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, those are some big questions there. Let's see. So we did chat last January, and then we proceeded to have, our busiest season ever, here for this company and Sustainable Village for Blue Mats. I'm sure, as many of your listeners know, we've, all across the country, there's, more and more states are legalizing and expanding their cannabis programs, which we love to see. And what that's bringing in is a few things. There's lots of people that are growing marijuana or lots of plants, actually, growing gardens in general for the first time. And we've been, supporting them just like we've been supporting those types of people for many, many years. And then there's been this really significant uptick in large scale commercial facilities as well. And we've been designing and implementing some irrigation systems for some very large projects and lots of kind of medium projects, that sort of thing. We've had a few that are kind of more notable that were fun to work on this year. We had a project out in Michigan that was some folks kind of central Michigan. They were growing outdoors in like 45-gallon pots, right? So
No.
I think they're about 24-inch diameter pots, and they had 10,500 of these pots out on a 39-acre grid.
Holy shit.
Yeah, exactly. And this is not hemp. We're not talking hemp. This was THC, full season flower. And boy, that was a great one to work on. Really fun, amazing guys working on the project. Great sports, and they had their ups and downs with all their own design issues and project management issues on their side, and pushed through it and came out with a really successful crop at the end. And we did all the irrigation for it. And
wow.
That was probably one of the bigger ones we've ever done. As far as, for marijuana, we've done some large scale ag projects out there, but it's really interesting to see those kind of big systems going in.
Wow. Yeah, I want to talk about that. Let's dig into that, because that's, talk about large scale right there. That is some large scale cannabis farming right there. Before we get into it any further, of course, we're talking about the Blue Mat watering system, the automatic watering system, again, that we highlighted so much during the last episode, and is a lot of the work that Sustainable Village does, I know. And really quickly, the code GROWCAST is active again, is it not? Can we throw that out really quick?
Absolutely. GROWCAST on the Sustainable Village website.
So if you are looking to get a Blue Mat auto watering system, now's the time. Go use code GROWCAST for, 10% off? Some good savings there? I know.
Yeah, 10%. We do 10% off.
It's 10% off. So go and do it. Again, automatic watering is a huge part of what they do. And I guess that's what I want to ask you. When you step into these large scale cannabis grows, what is it that you're doing? I know you said you set up their whole irrigation. Were you setting them up with carrot style Blue Mat systems to massive reservoirs? Were you doing a different style of irrigation? What did it look like?
Well, that one in particular, yeah, that was kind of, we do the Blue Mat systems, and for those folks that don't know about them, check out that other episode where we go into detail. But essentially, they're these moisture sensing valves. They're ceramic cones that control a valve, and they maintain really static moisture levels in the soil. That is the majority of the systems that we do, and there is, I don't want to say a limit to them, because we've done some really massive systems with them very successfully. In this one in particular, this one I was just talking about was more of a traditional drip irrigation.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this is really in an agricultural style. So we're using really large agricultural style pumps and filtration systems. We run the main lines, the water lines across the property are all, in this case, it was like 4 or 3 inch lay flat, which is it looks like fire hose kind of. You see it around farms often. So we're moving really massive amounts of water kind of quite quickly around the property.
Wow.
And we do that kind of ag style drip irrigation for some of these, the bigger multi-acre properties tends to be more cost effective to do that. You lose a little bit of sensitivity and you lose some automation.
Sure.
But when we're working at that size, it's really the most appropriate solution.
Mm-hmm.
Now, anything that we do in containers, anything in raised beds. So, a lot of folks these days are growing in raised beds and greenhouses, especially all the living soil, no-till crew out there.
Right.
That, 100% of the time, I'm going to say that's, you want to have Blue Mats, because we can do that very, very economically in raised beds with our Blue Soak tape. The Blue Soak tape that we use, we actually upgraded it this year. We contracted it with a new manufacturer to produce a new version of it that's really superior to the stuff we've been using in the past.
Ooh, improvements. Yeah. I know we're going to get into Blue Mat specifics and home growing and that exact thing, improvements to the Blue Mat in just a second here. But it's interesting to know that it excels in certain areas, and then other times there are obviously
absolutely
limitations.
Yeah, so no, I mean we want to be really realistic and give people the right solution and strategy to what they're trying to achieve. So when we do that, we have an engineer on staff too. We have a mechanical engineer who specializes in irrigation design work. So for those big larger systems, we actually bring in an engineer. So we have CAD drawings. So everything's all the numbers are crunched, and to our friction loss and our flow rates and our pressures are all perfect. And those types of projects, those kind of larger engineered projects, we did quite a few of those this summer that were some of them are just really interesting stuff. People were doing massive hugelkultur beds. We worked a lot with the permaculture community more and more. So that's more non-cannabis work that we're doing.
Ooh.
We're here in Boulder, Colorado, and Boulder County is kind of a bastion for organic agriculture and market gardens, food production, that sort of thing. And the permaculture community here is quite strong. I know we've chatted about permaculture before, and that's a passion of mine. And
super
also
cool, man.
The kind of the company has roots in that sort of work as well. We've been working with a number of permaculture designers, some of the best in the country, really, to do some very large installations. We just did this 120-acre farm just outside of Boulder here, right here in Boulder County. That was pretty amazing setup. All kinds of really great features, and there's a lot of new organic farms that are popping up, and we're doing the irrigation for those as well.
What are some of the ones that have really stuck out to you and just like impressed you? And what about those setups has really piqued your interest or surprised you?
Well, I guess one of the kind of cool dynamics that's happening here is, Boulder's a really wealthy place, and there's a lot of money here, and there's a lot of folks with a lot of money that are moving here, and that's good and bad, right? Like anybody who lives in the gentrified area sees that. But one of the things I'm impressed with is a lot of those wealthy folks are actually, taking farmland, and instead of just blowing it up with some giant mansion and a huge lawn, they've been actually embracing, hiring some permaculture designers to come in and like redoing their large estates.
It's kind of become cool.
Ag principles.
Yeah, it's become cool.
It's become cool. Yeah, absolutely. And like we're glad to help support that. Again, pros and cons to everything, but it is good when you see money getting put to good use and building systems that are going to last for a really long time and provide benefit to the land and to the people that live near them.
And you get to do some cool shit with that money too. Yeah, that's a really good point. And you're right. It's like you can say whatever you want about, it's cool to be green and, there's a lot to go there, but you're sticking true to your mission, which is if somebody's looking to do a permaculture regenerative system, I'm your man. You're not going to, you know what I mean? You're not going to deviate from that mission. That's kind of like what we do here at GrowCast, and I really respect that. Now, that being said, if there's money, that means you get to play around, right? That means you get to do some inventive shit. You get to take some chances or maybe incorporate a little bit of technology where you don't really need all that much technology, but you can, right? I'm just kind of spitballing here. Well, I hope I'm making sense.
No, you're hitting the nail on the head here. A lot of what we've done over the years at Sustainable Village is innovative, and it's new stuff that nobody else does, and we use parts and components and technology that no one else has or uses. And the only reason we've been able to do that is through experimentation. Sometimes it's our customers and our clients that do the experimentation, and then we say, what are you doing over here? You're doing that? Oh wow, look at that. And what if we did that? We get into a lot of collaborative relationships with customers actually. Mm-hmm. And then there's a number of stuff. We have a whole kind of R&D like team here and test gardens in a bunch of different places. But yeah, that's exactly right. So now we're moving into these bigger and bigger systems, and we're able to be more innovative on that scale, which feels, it's fun for one thing, but it's actually having some really significant benefit as well.
That's cool.
Something that pops into mind. Some of these large properties have a hay production, like hay fields. And to water the hay fields, one of the more efficient ways to do that is with these things called water reels. And they're basically giant sprinklers that, have sometimes they'll have like a 3 or 4 inch tube running into them.
Oh, I think I've seen those.
You'll see them out in the field sometimes. There'll be a giant reel at one end and you pull the other end. You can pull it like a quarter mile down a field sometimes. And then they have a little motor that runs off hydraulic pressure that's built into the reel itself. And so as the water flows through the tubing, it turns this motor, which retracts the sprinkler gun. It's like on a little cart at the other end of the field. So like it might take 20 hours, but it'll retract it across a quarter mile field.
Wow.
And those things put out like 350 gallons a minute. They have a huge nozzle. They say stuff like you can, we don't run filters on them because they have these big, huge nozzles. So you can like, if you're pulling out of a pond, you could like suck a frog out of the pond and shoot it out the nose of this nozzle and it would live. But one of the cool things, so it's kind of, it's big. It's not, that's like something that people do. It's a really specialized piece of equipment. We sell those and that's like selling farm equipment really. But one of the cool things we did was there was a horse farm that had one of these and they're trying to incorporate as many regenerative practices as possible. So we're building them this trailer. It's a trailer and it's got like several IBC totes on it. And there's a really cool local compost tea brewing company here in Boulder called Staffic Solutions. There's a really awesome woman that runs that.
This is a compost tea chariot? I'm sorry. Continue.
This is a compost tea chariot I'm about to describe here. And this thing, it's on a trailer. It's got these IBC totes full of compost tea. And we're able to kind of cart that around to different parts of the field because this water reel will connect to hydrants, like various hydrants out in the field. So we pull this cart up next to one of those hydrants and then we kind of plug it into that hydrant. And then there's an output on the other side of the chariot. I kind of like that. Maybe that's what we will start calling it.
There you go. That's free, buddy.
That
That's
goes
free,
into the
Michael.
hose reel. And we have this Venturi injector, which is like it's a device that injects, fertilizers or inputs into water, like through a siphon type process.
Damn.
And then, so we're able to like connect all these tanks in line to the water wheel. So as these people are watering this hay field, we're actually able to inject like some very small amounts of compost tea into that spray. So they're delivering compost tea over a large field at a pretty good volume.
Wow! And you just plug it in,
and just bringing all kinds of biological health to their soil and to the soil fertility, the biology of the soil. So that's kind of a fun little, that's again example of a one-off small project that we're doing on a big scale.
That is really cool, man. Instant microbes. You just plug it right in line to the system, and it's like, that's really
interesting. And, of course, we use that kind of technology, those Venturi injectors, for all kinds of watering systems that are much more efficient. The more efficient types of watering systems are the stuff we mostly specialize in, drip irrigation and blue mat irrigation, stuff that actually provides really significant water savings. These like big overhead sprinklers, they're used in places where there is abundant water and water rights and things like that.
Yeah, but we want to hear about the chariot. I'm down with the I'm down with the irrigation talk. But the chariot was interesting, man. I liked that.
Yeah.
Let's see here. We got to get it. Wow, man, time is flying by. We do enjoy having Michael on the show. We got to make sure that we get into blue mats here, man, because again, as far as home watering systems for cannabis, this is something we covered in depth before. But there's a lot of great ones out there. There's a lot of ones that are pretty pricey that you can integrate into larger controllers. There's a lot of ones that are too pricey for home growers, I would say, for a lot of home growers, I would say, and are probably just a little overpowered. And I think that's where Blue Mat comes in. It's a perfect home grower. I don't want to say small scale, but I'd say like small, medium scale application. I want to dig in now with you here on optimizing Blue Mat usage. We talked about the basics last time. We got a lot of people on the Blue Mat. Again, if you want to give it a try, code GROWCAST at sustainablevillage.com. But I want to get into the specifics and tips and tricks and improvements. Can we go ahead and dive into that now?
Yeah, fire away.
We'll be rejoining Michael in just a moment, but before that, Plant Revolution, our proud microbial partners here at GrowCast. I use them. We love them. You've seen them everywhere. If you haven't tried their products, go and pick them up today. I want to talk about the Orca today. It's the liquid Mycorrhizal inoculant. And I got to tell you, I really like this Orca, you guys. It is a staple in my garden. And there's a lot of reasons you want to be able to water microbes and specifically beneficial fungus like myco back in. So what I'm now realizing is, it's fine and dandy using all the different granular mycos, whatever you like, mix and match, for instance. But when you have to, for instance, hammer that root zone with some fungicide or some pesticide fungicide like a Dr. Zymes wash, you're going to do a lot of damage to that established biology. Maybe you got to get rid of some thrip larvae in there. You know what I'm saying? And when you do that, you have to re-inoculate. That fungal life isn't exactly happy being drenched in whatever you're doing a root drench in. So great way to get mycorrhizal fungi back into it. Go ahead and add this Orca. If you're in a liquid setup and you can't use the granular, maybe you're in a DWC, go ahead and add the Orca. You're going to harness the power of the mycorrhizal fungi in any system, and you're going to see results. Even if it's not, sticking around for a super long time, you're going to see major results just because you're adding it back in. The Orca is a staple in my garden. Again, there's lots of myco products out there, but this is a liquid myco product, and I really, really like it for that reason. Pick up the Orca, pick up the king crab, which I love, the myco chum to feed all these good guys, whatever you like, Plant Revolution, and check them out at plantrevolution.com as well. They are very, very close partners of ours, and we really, really love them. So you're supporting the show by supporting Plant Revolution, and you're supporting the microbial life in your soil. All right, everybody, let's get back to it with Michael. Okay, let's see. What do I have at the top here? So one of the things that I was thinking about over and over as I talk to people who are using blue mats and stuff is you generally don't want to have much sitting in that blue mat, right? As far as inputs. Are there safe things that we can keep sitting in a blue mat? And kind of the follow-up question to that, how can we get circulation in there? So we can have a full mix, like a reservoir sitting in there, and have it mixed around and not go stagnant and still utilize the blue mat. I know that's two hard questions, but answer that however you can.
No problem. I mean, those are things we talk about all the time. So, first question I'm hearing is like, what kind of inputs can we run through the blue mat system? And then second part is how do we do that? And what's the most effective strategy?
Sure. Can we circulate?
So, answer the first question is, yeah, no problem. You can run whatever you want through the blue mats generally. When we're talking trope blue mats, right? These are not like the houseplant classic versions. These are the ones that pretty much any cannabis grower or any grower is using. And the main things we're looking for when we're running inputs through the system, and we have a lot of information about this. We have a separate website called irrigation.equipment. That's the full URL. So it's just irrigation.equipment. There's a lot of tips and tricks and kind of informational stuff on there.
Ooh.
Just as a side note, but we try to keep particulate out of it. So if you're running like really thick compost teas or something like that, you want to filter it first before you run it through the system. If you're running mineral fertilizers, so like salt-based fertilizers, synthetic fertilizers, we really want folks to cut their dilution rates down, usually by about half. There's some significant reasons for that. One is, because the blue mats are just providing the right amount of water, they're not doing this drain to waste thing. Everything that goes into the pot stays in the pot. So there's nothing kind of like draining out the bottom, and you're not sending your liquid nutrients down the drain every time you water. But there's a bit of a buildup of nutrients in there.
Oh yeah, you got to flush it eventually.
Well, yeah, but by keeping those low dilution rates, cut your dilution rates in half. You really, a lot of folks get away without flushing, honestly. And you can go through flush. You could go through and flush by hand if you wanted to. But, flushing is a different story. In general, though, like if you're running like cocoa and salt, if folks are getting away without flushing at all by cutting the dilution rate low, getting better than average yields anyways, and they're using half the nutrients too. The fear, the downside of running anything through there, any kind of inputs through the system are going to be clogging, right? So when we're running synthetic fertilizers through the system, there's a product called Drip Clean.
Right.
I think it's House and Garden, Home and Garden, something like House and Garden, I think it is.
Sure, like an SLF 100 type breakdown line cleaner product.
Yeah, that Drip Clean works really good. It's cheap as hell. I think we have some on our website. We don't really sell much of it though, because you can probably buy it cheaper somewhere else. That stuff, that'll work really great to solubilize mineral buildup. So with synthetic fertilizers, you might get mineral deposits, and then they just need to be solubilized and flushed through in a product like that. I think it's just basically PEC acid, PEK, PEC acid. But and then if we're running organic inputs through it, like a compost tea or any kind of organic fertilizer, the fear is either particulate or biofilm.
Yep.
So biofilm is like a bacteria. It's like a slimy bacteria. You probably notice it on the inside of your reservoir or irrigation lines or whatever. And it can get pretty bad sometimes. It gets really chunky. We have a product called Biofilm Buster or Hypogrow, and that stuff's on our website. You should check that out if you're having any kind of biofilm buildup. It's really great stuff. We get it kind of found a company and it sells it, and it's all fit for human consumption. It's used to help clean like municipal water lines and stuff, and it won't damage any of your biology. But it will what it specifically does is like breaks the bonds between the biofilm, that bacteria, and the plastic walls of your irrigation system. So it'll help flush it out. So treating it with those things can be really helpful too. So again, that's the answer to your question. That's what you can run through it, which is pretty much everything. And then again, there's some maintenance to do, just like there would be with any kind of irrigation system.
But you're saying you can basically run anything through there. My concern would be just, full disclosure as a grower, making sure that it remains mixed, right? Because it's sitting in there for quite some time.
Right. So that was the second part of your question. What's the best way to deliver it?
Yeah, and how do we keep it mixed up in there? I know you can't throw an air stone in there, but is there any alternative?
Oh, you can totally throw an air stone in there.
You can throw an air stone in there?
I've done it. Oh yeah, no problem. You can throw an air stone in there. You could have a little recirculating pump. Anything
Why did
like
I have that in my head? I must have misremembered asking you that because I swear it was like no air stones.
I feel like I've heard that come up before, and people have some fears around using aeration in their reservoirs with blue mats. I've done it a bunch, and I've never had any problems with it.
Wow.
I guess the theory is potentially if there's a lot of dissolved oxygen or just air bubbles in general, they can get into the lines. And if you had an air stone in there, I would not put it right next to the
intake,
like the bulkhead in your reservoir. Yeah.
Or how about a top loading one? There are ones that hang down instead of even sitting it in the bottom. I totally agree. Keeping it away from that output. Yeah,
but any kind of air recirculating pump would be a great alternate solution too. So if you had an extra, like a pump that was outside of the reservoir that pulled water out of the bottom and then dumped it back in the top, something like that, that would really cut out the air too. But no, like any of that, there's a very small amount of air that could get in the lines. We like to purge air out of the lines when we're first setting up systems. We want to make sure to get all that out of there. Afterwards, though, it tends to just work its way out through the carrots, and you don't really see blockages. And if you can use the best way to get those reservoirs full of nutrients into the system, it's essentially one of two ways. One is a gravity reservoir. So if you had a reservoir that was mixed up and then gravity feeding into your system, that would work fine. And then the other one is if you had a reservoir on the floor, one of our pump kits, to use that in addition. That's how you'd want to go with that, and that's what most folks do.
Again, it's a no-brainer. I think that everyone should probably have some. I just suffered from some health issues that took me out of my garden, and I almost wish that I had the blue mat, just even if you're not so busy that you can't water, just in case stuff comes up, because my garden suffered, and if I would have had some sort of blue mat system, it wouldn't have suffered so bad. It would have been much easier as I was enduring those crazy cluster headaches. But anyways, I did just want to throw that out there. You should probably go pick one of these up and use code GROWCAST, of course. But yeah, man, I don't know where I got that in my head about not using air stones. That's great. That's great news that you can just throw an air stone in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wanted to cover as well, you brought it up before, improvements. You mentioned an improvement to a tape. Let's talk about that. Any other improvements? Let's dig into it.
I think that's maybe the main upgrade we did this year. The blue soak tape. So we have a soaker hose that works kind of downstream of the carrot. The carrot, there's a tube that goes through the top of the carrot and that's pinched by the carrot as the moisture levels change in the soil and kind of opens and closes. And then that delivers water. It'll either drip right out of the tube or through a series of distribution drippers, or we can feed it into arrays of this soaker hose that we call Blue Soak. And we've upgraded. We have a Blue Soak 2.0 now, we're calling it. And we started sending some of that out in late May, early June, and got really great feedback from some of the big commercial places we sent it to. And so we did a bigger release right after that. And it's just a better quality. The price point is the same as the old one. It tends to deliver water a little faster than the old stuff did, but the manufacturing quality is better. And we're seeing less kind of defective product. And and just more uniformity in the water distribution.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
So you gotta get that high quality tape in there, buddy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the blue soak, and that's what you want for any kind of large container. That's how we get super economical with like raised beds or large pots. Anything above 30 gallons, maybe. But when people are doing, their 200-gallon pots, they got a whole hillside of 200-gallon pots. We can do one or maybe 2 carats per 200-gallon pot, and then a big spiral of the blue soak.
Oh man, that's super cool. Any other big changes or improvements? I mean, you take a look at the way the carrot operates is just based upon physics. I don't feel there's a whole lot of room for improvement there, but you tell me.
I mean, little things, some little components and pieces. We started using a lot more pressure gauges. So it's a lot of our systems that are on the larger side have like 1/2-inch tubing as our mainline supply. We're talking blue mats now. And we have, with those and with the smaller ones too, but we're inserting Schrader valves more often in the systems. Schrader valves, that's like air valve on your bike tire or your car tire or something like that.
PSI type thing.
Yeah. And so we have those at different places in the system, and then like a movable pressure gauge that can go and just measure pressure. It really helps for troubleshooting if people are having any kind of issues with pressure, like, over a larger space, to be able to go and check pressure at different places with these mounted Schrader valves.
Ooh.
Let's see, what else have we been doing? We've really been improving and increasing our work with capillary mats, which are like kind of felt mats, essentially, that you water the mat and then you set plants on them and then they wick water up.
What?
Yeah, they're really pretty cool. And we have a blue mat, so it's called a surface blue mat. It's like a ceramic disc instead of a cone, and it sits on that felt mat and measures the moisture level of the mat. And when that dries out, it turns on the water and waters that felt mat. And then, again, you're just setting pots on top of it. So like fabric pots, but even plastic pots with little small openings on the bottom, or like there's those peat pot type different products.
That's
you set those on there, but any kind of pot, and then you just set them on there. And we've been selling those, like CU, University of Colorado, has like a pretty serious soil science lab. We sold a bunch of systems to them. Actually, one of the guys on our team here, Izzy, I don't know if folks have talked to him, but he's great. He's like one of our top designers here, and he also is he works up at the soil science labs and at CU, and got these capillary mats in there. And they as far as like for research, they've been really tremendous, because it's able to keep all of their soil mediums at really, really static levels. So it cuts out totally cuts out this whole fluctuating factor in their research. And that's kind of a neat thing.
Wow.
Doing with the university.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah, we've been really our video content has increased a lot. So we've got a cool staff of graphic and video people now. So we've been kind of trying to crank out more and more instructional videos and kind of content like that. That was sort of a COVID thing that happened, was we just started, creating more digital content just like everybody else did.
Oh yeah, got to, man. That's a good segue. Let's talk about that's all found at sustainablevillage.com.
Yeah.
And let's talk about what's coming up next. What are the big plans? I mean, you talk about these new products and things. Are we going to see these surface waters more? What's down the road for Sustainable Village?
Yeah. Well, one of the things, we've been really pushing more and more into the sustainable part of that. We love working with cannabis growers, but the more and more we can do work with like more of the permaculture world, and really we have a program, we're Sustainable Village. We have a program we're going to kind of just casually call Sustainable Cities, right? So we're focused on developing systems, but also like networking, and we talked about this a little bit last time, but systems with more urban farms, community gardens in cities and towns, people that are doing more rooftop gardening, that sort of thing. We're really trying to support those projects. We've got a team member that is based out of New York City. He lives in Brooklyn. He's been really successful in networking with a number of kind of urban farms out there, and some very, very interesting projects. There's one that's like, I actually can't rattle off all the details, but it's like this nonprofit guy gifted this big chunk of a harbor, like the land, but the land that's underwater. And so they've been building this like floating agricultural city off this in one of these little harbors off the Hudson.
Whoa.
And in New York City there. And we're doing all their irrigation work too. And they have all kinds of really cool shit like these biomethane collection devices and solar panels and rainwater collection. And they're doing really great programs. I wish I could just rattle off the names of these places. It's a little outside my wheelhouse, but they are doing some fabulous stuff there. We're networking with a number of organizations that are helping to, connect kind of more urban populations with access to organic farms throughout New England right now. And we really want to increase that more and more. One of the local permaculture companies here, it's called United Ecology. Avery Ellis, he's the director of that. He's really kind of renowned permaculturist. We've done some big projects with him, and now we are starting a new gray water diversion project with him, which is neat. So we're building and selling these kits that you can like attach to the back of your washing machine. This is a good way to start. And so you can divert the wastewater from your washing machine and any other gray water. So that stuff like that comes out of your like shower and sink and stuff, and into your landscape basically. So you can turn a valve and that'll take the wastewater that's coming out of your house and instead of putting it down the drain, it'll funnel it out into like wood chip berms or different kinds of mulch berms that will absorb the water and store the water and like water, perennial plants, things like that. And
wow.
That's really cool because we're working with some large municipalities in that way to help encourage new construction to actually have these in them and to make them more legal because there's a lot of legal issues with gray water diversion systems too. So
wow,
that's some pretty fun stuff too.
That's huge. Yeah. That's game-changing shit right there. Like you said, if you can get municipalities to start reconsidering those things and reforming the way that these municipalities operate, I love that. Really cool work what you're doing, Michael. We always appreciate when you come and pop in and say hey to the Growcast universe.
Oh, I love it.
Of course, give us our savings on our blue mats. It's always a pleasure, man.
Yeah, we're happy to do that. We don't often do a lot of discount codes, but I'm happy to do that with you guys. So, yeah, that's that code Growcast will get you 10% off.
That's awesome.
Hear that, irrigation part.
Super cool. And like I said, we just love everything you're doing here. We really like to focus on regenerative agriculture. And this kind of goes beyond that with Sustainable Village, like you said, with the different work that you're doing. So go and show them love, guys, sustainablevillage.com. They've got other stuff there as well. Like you said, he's got all sorts of different products, great for cannabis growers and then outside of cannabis growers too. Just a lot of sustainability stuff, a lot of kind of closed loop, the stuff you'd want for like a closed loop system. So check it out. Sustainablevillage.com and stay tuned for more. Does that about cover it, Michael? Anything else here before we sign off?
One of the things that we haven't really been getting out there and doing much in-person stuff. And I don't know when exactly the show is going to air, but we've got an event coming. We're going to be in Las Vegas from October 20th to the 22nd for MJ BizCon.
Nice.
Which is about the largest of the cannabis conventions out there. So any of you weed folks that happen to be going to MJ BizCon, we'll have a booth there. Sustainable Village have a booth. I'll be there if anyone wants to swing by and say hi. I'd love to see you.
Oh man, I know you're going to see some Growcast listeners come up and say hey. So go check them out at MJ BizCon, everybody. Sustainable Village. Go say hi to Michael and check out sustainablevillage.com. That's all for today, everybody. This is Jordan River and Michael from Sustainable Village signing off, saying have an extraordinary day out there, everybody. Be safe, of course, and grow smarter. That's all for today's show. Special thank you to sustainablevillage.com and Michael Box, and of course him making the code GROWCAST for 10% off on Blue Mats through November. Really, really great show. I'm sure he will be back on again. Maybe we'll get him on TV for the members. We'll see. Shout out to Rimrock Analytical before we wrap it up. Our choice sex testing partners. What are you doing wasting time growing out those males? I hope you're not doing that. Even if you take your cuttings and try to flower those out, you're still looking at weeks. Weeks, I tell you. Skip the line. Go ahead and go to rimrockanalytical.com. Use code GROWCAST to get free shipping on your sex tests and sex your regular seeds through the mail, lickety-split, kill those males as seedlings. You have these tests ready to go, guys. You can just cut off a cotyledon. Upon the first set of true leaves, you can snip a cotyledon and get tests. I mean, listen, I don't want to put them on the spot. I don't know what their official policy is, but we've seen 48-hour turnaround times with regularity. A lot of members using Rimrock posting their results. Pretty fun to see. RimrockAnalytical.com, code GROWCAST for free shipping on sex tests, soil tests, nutrition tests, and more. We love Rimrock. We love Taylor over there. So show him some love, support the show, and stop wasting your time, man. All right, that is all. Thank you so much again, listeners. I appreciate you staying subscribed. I appreciate you downloading, sharing the show. I hereby place a blessing on your garden just for being a GrowCast listener. And we'll see you next time on the GrowCast podcast. Bye-bye, everybody.